The second season of The White Lotus premiered in October and ran till December. Viewers saw some returning actors in the second season, which is noteworthy because it's an anthology. This suggests that there could be returning actors in the next season. Will Daphne and Cameron return? Also, The White Lotus director put in Survivor Easter eggs. What details do we have about them? Keep watching to find out. First up, Mike White put Survivor Easter eggs in The White Lotus. Let us introduce Mike White in case you don't already know him. The 52-year-old actor, writer, and producer is known for his work on Freaks and Geeks and Dawson's Creek and his appearance in School of Rock. More recently, White starred in season 37 of US Survivor and produced and directed the obscure television program The White Lotus. It may be said that The White Lotus is his most chaotic creation, but that's exactly why we all adore it, isn't it? In fact, White added some more mayhem to the first and second seasons of the show, which probably went unnoticed by most viewers. Following his victory in the 2018 David vs. Goliath season of Survivor, White asked several of his former cast members to contribute extra Easter eggs to his successful HBO series. In the inaugural season of The White Lotus, Alec Merlino, a rival contestant, may have caught the attention of keen reality show viewers. At the resort's Hawaiian location, the actor played the coiffed bartender. Then, in the first scene of season 2, Daphne, played by Megan Fahey, meets two amiable women at the hotel's Italian beach. Before she sees a dead body floating in the water, Angelina Keeley and Kara Kay, who advanced to the final four on Survivor with White, Nick Wilson, and 4 other contestants, played the two visitors. In an interview with Vulture in October, Kay discussed the cameos and how the themes of both programs are related. According to her, a lot of it concerns how people interact with one another and how fundamentally human we all are. In Survivor, you win by using wits and strength. She also stated that victory depends on one's socioeconomic standing in White Lotus 1. It's about sexual politics and power in White Lotus 2. Will Cameron and Daphne return for The White Lotus's third season? Although The White Lotus is an anthology series, certain characters from season 1 returned in season 2, which suggests that more former characters will probably make an appearance in season 3 of The White Lotus. Tanya McQuoid, an affluent moron, and her husband Greg, a Bureau of Land Management worker, made a comeback in season 2 and returned to the White Lotus Resort, this time in Sicily, where they once again went on holiday. There is a huge list of potential cast members for The White Lotus season 3, who all have solid reasons to return because there's a history of characters returning. The second season of The White Lotus followed a group of affluent Americans as they spent time at a Sicilian resort. A body subsequently turned up at the White Lotus. As it turned out, Tanya McQuoid was the murderer. She killed 3 guys on a boat because she thought they would kidnap her. The corpse visible at the start of the season was Tanya, after she jumped off the boat, hit her head, and floated ashore. After season 2, there is a lot of unfinished business, which gives several characters a reason to return in season 3 of The White Lotus. Many fans don't think Mike White's hiring Jennifer Coolidge for another stay should be affected by her death. According to the results of TV Line's White Lotus season 3 casting poll, Tanya, played by Coolidge, was not even a choice in the poll asking which characters from season 1 and 2 of White Lotus should return for season 3. Yet her unlikely return dominated the discussion in the comments. A TV Line reader stated that Tanya should go on. They then said that these seasons don't need to run continuously and that she frequently visits these resorts. Therefore, they could depict her at a different stage of her life. Jennifer is hilarious and provides a welcome counterbalance to some of the other tales. White Lotus's third season should focus more on its spiritual elements, according to another TV Line reader, who adds that Tanya can return as a ghost. Either Greg is hiding out and she's haunting him, or Portia and Belinda are trying to get in touch with Tanya's ghost to get evidence that Greg committed the crime. Another reader, on the other hand, suggested that it's likely that Tanya had a twin sister, or a look-alike, before speculating that Coolidge's character, Sophie, on Two Broke Girls could drop by. 2% of voters on the poll voted that Bert should return for season 3, 3% for Dom and Abby, and 4% for Nicole and Mark. 5% voted for Valentina, 6% for Shane and Rachel. Belinda's return was supported by 8%, and Greg's by 9% of voters. In the top 3, 15% of voters support a return by Harper and Ethan, 22% for Albie and Portia, and 25% for Daphne and Cameron. Now, let's talk about the characters who could return in season 3. Firstly, Greg Hunt. Tanya believes Greg hired many men to kidnap and kill her in order to acquire her enormous wealth in the season 2 finale of The White Lotus. Tanya's suspicions are never proven, although it seems plausible that Greg was hatching a plot given that Tanya learned of his connections to the kidnappers. Despite the unfortunate death of Tanya at the end of The White Lotus season 2, characters like the 2 men who escaped the boat and Tanya's secretary Portia are aware of the plot, paving the way for Greg's comeback in The White Lotus season 3. Greg disappears from view in the middle of season 2 after leaving Tanya in Sicily. In season 3, Greg may easily eventually return and try to hide his tracks as Portia hunts him out, with Greg still reeling from Tanya's killing. Season 3 might also prove that he wasn't really plotting anything. It's logical that Greg would become the lone recurring character in Season 3 of The White Lotus, as he appeared in both of its seasons. Mike White, the creator of the series, has even hinted that Season 3 may take place during a political convention. And who better to appear than a senior official from the Bureau of Land Management? Next is Portia. Season 3 of The White Lotus may see the return of several of the characters that took part in the crimes committed by Greg and Tanya. Portia is another definite possibility. Tanya told Portia she had her doubts about Greg before she passed away, and now that Portia was safe and sound in America, she could easily go to the police and help them find Greg. This time around, Portia, played by Haley Lou Richardson, was a fan favorite, which suggests that the character may be considered for a comeback. Tanya's comeback for Season 2 is likely due to her popularity from Season 1 after all. Thirdly, we have Daphne and Cameron Sullivan. Although their narrative is unrelated to the Greg and Tanya conflict, Daphne and Cameron Sullivan are two of the primary characters in The White Lotus Season 2. Daphne and Cameron, on the other hand, mostly stick with Ethan and Harper. Daphne's marital problems are made clear throughout the series, as she describes Cameron's habits of cheating on her. The White Lotus Season 2 finale, however, makes a suggestion that Daphne cheats on Cameron with Ethan in order to avenge her husband. The fact that this plotline is unfinished suggests that it could be developed further in Season 3 of The White Lotus. Regarding their business tactics, Daphne or Cameron are more likely to make a comeback. Daphne makes a passing comment about Cameron's business partners being lousy people at one point, dropping a suggestion that there might possibly be illegal activities taking place. While this looks like a straightforward plot premise, The White Lotus Season 2 finale concludes without ever going into further detail, making it the ideal story for Season 3. The White Lotus Season 3 might actually be about a political convention, in which case an appearance by Cameron's shady enterprises would be too ideal to pass up. We're now halfway through the list. Next, we have Jack and the two men from the boat. Jack and the two men from the boat will be the perfect candidates to return if the Greg tale is continued into Season 3, despite the fact that they are minor characters. Quentin and his two friends are killed by Tanya as she tries to flee, but the boat's captain and one of Quentin's pals manage to swim to land after plunging into the ocean. Throughout Season 2, Quentin is charged with keeping a watch on Portia, while Jack, a younger guy, is rumored to be his uncle. In Season 3 of The White Lotus, all three of these characters might make an appearance and detail what happened after Tanya's murders. Next is Abby DeGrasso. Bert, Dominic, and Albie, the three generations of DeGrasso men, were another cast of major characters in The White Lotus Season 2. The DeGrassos explain that Dominic's wife and daughter missed the trip because of the effects of his sex addiction, which is a recurring theme throughout Season 2. This highlights Dominic's marital issues. Laura Dern plays Abby DeGrasso, which is a pretty significant figure to cast for a few voice-only sequences, even though her voice is only heard on the phone. Laura Dern's casting would be more reasonable if Season 3 told Abby's side of the tale. And lastly, we have another White Lotus Season 1 character. The White Lotus Season 3 could perhaps feature a returning character from Season 1, as opposed to Season 2, which would be a more improbable forecast. As the only two characters from the first season in Sicily to return, Tanya and Greg, there are many other possibilities on the potential cast list. The Mossbachers, Belinda, Rachel, or Shane are just a few of the Season 1 cast members who could return, and each one has a rich backstory that could be developed. The White Lotus Season 3 is likely to see at least one character return, though no one is certain who. And with that, we've come to the end of today's video. Which of the actors mentioned earlier do you think will return for Season 3? Did you notice the Survivor Easter eggs Mike White put in White Lotus? Let us know in the comment section. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.